I know, right? Get a face for radio. It's because I want to use my big screen because I'm running dual monitors. So I have that big monitor here where I can do 7 different screens at once, but I can't do that.
Is that a different angle you're at, Travis?
Same as last week.
Yeah. Oh, is it? Oh, I just don't remember seeing all the machines behind you, but I guess.
Yeah, got all 3 of them.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
It's good, man.
Yeah, just need to find time to use them.
So I gotta ask, Travis, what got you on the elk hunting idea?
I was just talking to Rick about that. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Thanksgiving, my cousin's husband and my cousin were down from Alberta, and we were talking about bags and stuff, and I'd been experimenting with that Cordura bag. I was just showing Rick this the jack of all trades one that we had talked about, so like a little wax canvas top and rubber bottom. He said, "Oh, I'll buy one from you." I said, "Oh, don't worry about buying it, like I'll just take one for testing." Because he's big into hunting and stuff, and I want to see how it performs. And he said, "No, he's insisting on paying for it." I said, "How about this? If you need a hunting partner, just let me know. I'll come to Alberta. That'll be my payment." He says, "Well, you want to go next year?"
Nice.
Let's go.
So when is when is elk season out there for?
Mid-September.
So you're looking at like a year's planning first.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Considering I know nothing about elk hunting, and I'm a flatland valley boy, I have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think I can't say I've ever seen an elk in person. I don't think.
No, there's a place in Quebec. It's like a wildlife thing that you can drive through. They have elk like crazy.
Oh, Omega Park.
Yeah. Park Omega, it's called.
Yeah, I've definitely been to Omega Park. Maybe I saw one, I don't know, but I don't think I could identify it quickly because in Ontario we don't really see much elk.
No, and my hunting currently consists of driving a 4-wheeler to about 100 yards of my stand and walking and sitting in my stand. So you need to change my mindset around hunting.
Yeah. That's awesome, though. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Whereabouts in Alberta? Do you know?
It's like the western part down near the BC border.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's like you go to the middle of nowhere and then you keep driving for a couple hours.
Is that pretty like mountainous, that area then?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. That's really nice. It's going to look beautiful there too. Like it's scenery you don't really see in Ontario.
Yeah. So now it's getting all kitted out, getting glass and
that's
making
the fun
sure
part.
I have the right stuff.
Yeah. It's funny because for hunting, you get all this preparation and all this gear to take that one shot.
Yeah. Like put 90% of my time into selecting a caliber whenever it's like 10 seconds of the week-long hunt. Hopefully, if everything goes well.
Yes. Yeah.
I need to put as much time into thinking about boots as I do rifles.
That's it. I was thinking someone had measured the lifespan of a barrel in seconds.
Oh yeah, it's like 3 seconds or something like that. Like
not even.
It's really short. Huh?
Something really short. Like a 308 was longer, and then the 6.5s and the 6 mils were like super short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then a 22 is probably like 25 minutes or something.
Infinity.
Yeah, just infinite lead just being pushed through it. So my Jaron from Korth, he said he got an elk. I think it was maybe last year or the year before, but with bow hunting, which is kind of cool.
Oh yeah. That's dedication.
Yeah.
800 rounds is like a half a second of actual barrel life.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I think we're ready to start. Stand by, guys. Let's do it. I'm trying to click on my first time. Stand by, guys. Oh, wait. Oh man, where is it? There it is. Okay, stand by. Hey, welcome to the Rimfire Nation Podcast, Season 4, Episode 16. Matt Huey Womfat is back. We do a deep dive on his year, his climb, his long journey to the podium. And also we have questions from our listeners and other internetophiles. And also, hopefully we can pick his brain on those folks just thinking about getting into the game, what his advice would be, and maybe we can talk some gear and all that kind of good stuff.
Sounds good.
The Rimfire Nation Podcast is brought to you by Tesro.ca. I hear from a little birdie that the SK delivery has arrived. So if you're looking for SK, and I'm not sure if Lapu was part of that same shipment, but check out Tesro.ca and stack it high. Save it up
That's
for next year.
Buy it while it's available.
Yeah, grab it while you can. Who knows when
awesome.
The next one is.
Yeah.
The whole buy it cheap part is out, right?
Just
exactly.
Deep,
just you're not going to buy it cheap.
It's only ever going to get more expensive, so you might as well buy it now.
That is so true. That is so true. I was looking in the grocery chocolate bar aisle. Like, I'm looking at the numbers, and they don't make sense to me. It's like $6 or $7 for like a little Ritter Sport bar. It's like, man, what's going on? Did I wake up after a coma or something? Anyway, welcome back, Matt. That was a great discussion last week with Kenny and Ashley from Desert Precision. We got in, like, skimmed the surface, but there was so much I never even thought about. So, but yeah, if you guys missed that, episode 15, Kenny and Ashley from Desert Precision Gunworks jumped on and did a brain dump. It was a great conversation. Learned a lot.
Yeah,
that one could have gone for about 7 hours.
I know.
For sure.
Oh man, it was good. It was good. Well, I'm sure we'll have him back. We'll do some deep dives on some other aspects of it. But yeah, cool. Thanks for being part of that, Matt.
Yeah, no, it was good. Again, I hadn't been on the podcast in a while, and when you asked if I wanted to come on because Kenny was on, I was like, yeah, for sure. So
makes sense.
Yeah, it was great hearing from him and the new Genesis action.
I know that Very sounds like solved all the problems I never knew existed, you know?
Yeah.
That's right. We run nice guns, you know, think about it, but the little tweaks that he was talking about and the thought process behind everything, it's amazing. So yeah, good.
That was really cool.
Hey man, so you've had a good year.
This year in particular was quite special to me. It's funny because every year you want to like try and stay competitive or whatever, but everyone else is getting better too.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
So it's hard because even if 1 year you're finding good success, if you don't really, keep your skills sharp, it doesn't mean you all of a sudden turn into a bad shooter, but everyone else is improving at such a high rate these days. And I feel like the gear race has sort of reached its pinnacle of like exceptional performance. So it's it's really hard to, push out the marginal gains from all your equipment and all this stuff. So it was nice seeing that I still got it, at least for now,
Yeah. No, it's good. Cause like you were like an everyday guy, like you're like
I'm still an everyday guy, Rick.
No, you're not anymore. but you like go back like 3 or 4 years ago, you were just like one of us. You were like just another guy who liked shooting, right? You showed up, said, "This is fun. Let's try it." You had your YouTube videos, you do all kinds of different things, but this was not the focus of your life. It wasn't your
right.
It wasn't the journey, right?
Yeah, that's a good one.
And that's what that was cool to see us because I knew you worked at it. All the effort that you put in, all the practice time, whether it's informal or formal. There was a lot more than just I'm just going to show up at a match every now and again and shoot, and that's my practice. Like you were I don't know, subconscious, but you were informally kind of building up to getting here, which is cool. And you kind of hung around the people that also, wanted to achieve that same level of execution, not perfection, but just, this is fun. Let's play. It's like,
the people,
though, like, the guys.
I'm glad you brought up the people, because honestly, without like the community that was around me at the time, I don't think I would have taken it so seriously, because it was really the people that was fun to hang around. And then it's like, well, I have a great group of, new friends at the time that everyone seems like, they're all very passionate about shooting. And as PRS grew in our area anyway, then people were willing to travel. So we all travel together. And there's a group of us, like, I would say there's maybe like six of us in Ottawa, and like I would say like 10 of us within Ottawa to like Montreal area that are all dedicated enough where we travel to a lot of the matches in the States and stuff. So we carpool a lot. It's like the travel to the match is just as much fun as shooting the match itself. We make a whole weekend out of it, and we eat a ton of
awesome
food along the road. The community is really what made it, and what made me kind of stay and keep pursuing it the way I was.
So. Yeah, but I also think that the environment of people just wanting you to succeed and also pushing you, because they were everybody was nipping at everyone's heels, right?
That's right.
Like if you have a bad day, someone was more than happy to take that spot from you.
Yeah, well, and if you think about it, like my quote unquote like travel buddies from Ottawa, all of us that usually are in the same truck are on Team Canada, so we're basically traveling together with some of the best shooters, So every match you show up to, you can't really take your foot off the gas in terms of your effort level. I mean, if you want to do well, because if I'm not doing well, I'm for sure gonna see Colin, Brad, or Dory do well at that match. So we all sort of keep our standards high in a way. Which is kind of fun. Yeah.
And it's also great for the. No, that's the sad thing is the like when you're like my wife's a big tennis fan, so when the big stars are up, it sucks for everyone else who's also really, really, really good, because they'll never crack, because perfection is really where you just one step below perfection is where you need to be to get the podium in the Stittsville area, right?
Right. Yeah, and it's also funny. Like sometimes Steve Borso from Toronto area, he would jump in the truck with us if we're driving somewhere like to PA, and then it crossed our minds. We're like, so 4 of us out of 6 on the open team are in the same truck. So if we got like hit by a semi truck and we all just perished, it would just like delete our chances of doing anything at Worlds, which is kind of funny. So it's good. It's good seeing the challenge.
Capra's putting a rule in that no more than 2 Team Canada can be in the same vehicle on the same road at the same hour.
Yeah, that's right. It's great though. Like the community in Ontario has been phenomenal. So I mean, ever since I started, that's really what's been pushing the sport is the people. So it's awesome that way.
And I think you guys do a great job at mentoring and being a great example for everyone else who goes to a match, because there's no egos there. Just a fun bunch of good-natured guys taking shots at each other, and that sucked.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of funny conversations. I think we strike a good balance in terms of having fun and practicing at the local matches while still having fun and trying to be competitive, but not taking it because as soon as a hobby like this isn't fun, you're dedicating so much resources and time to it. Like there's no point doing it if you don't enjoy it at all. So you really got to balance that.
That's got to be hard. Was it hard for you, or just because of the group you were with, it kind of depressurized the situation, because they kept it real, they kept you grounded?
Yeah, I will say when I shoot in a squad of people I don't know, it's definitely not as. I shouldn't say I don't enjoy it. It's just a different type of enjoyment. Like I'm a lot more focused on the match. But when you're with friends, it's a lot easier to just have a good time. But you kind of have to. At the same time, you don't want to pay a bunch of money to travel and stay in a hotel and then just sort of waste your
just have a good time.
Yeah, exactly. So if you want to be competitive, you gotta know when to lock it in. But also, I feel like this is also good sport to partake in if you just want to have fun. Like some people don't want to be competitive; they just want to go and shoot with their buddies, and that's totally fine. Whatever your goals are, man. Like as long as you're enjoying it, because it's not a job and no one's getting paid to do it. That's the key.
That's my approach. Go and hang out with people and shoot a gun every half an hour or so.
Yeah, exactly. And it's always a great time, right? So
I always have a good time.
It's all like that's the weird thing about this sport. After 6 or 7 years of doing this, no matter what weather, I've always had a great time.
Yeah.
Just the people make it so much fun, Yeah. There's always the class clowns in there,
Yeah.
I lucky for me, the French Canadian squad is always the smallest squad, so that's the one I'll jump in usually to kind of fill in if I'm shooting, and it's always a good time. It's always a good time,
Yeah, I will say before PRS, a lot of the sports I played were like indoors, or I used to bike a lot, but I was like a fair weather cyclist,
Okay.
So So I would choose, like, if it's any inclement weather in the forecast, I just don't go outside. It's fine. So I only appreciated like the outdoors in like terrible weather when I started shooting parrots, because the matches never get canceled. So you learn to have fun no matter what the conditions are, raining, snowing, whatever. Yeah.
Just get out there.
So,
that's
right.
And then plus you were worrying about filming too and audio at this in the early stages, because that was I guess that was the focus, right?
Yes, I would say
videographer that was shooting, right?
Exactly.
All of a sudden, at some point, it kind of flip flopped and then became, we'll film it, but really we're here to shoot.
Yeah, no, that was sort of part of the journey. Like originally, I would go to matches because I do still really enjoy the aspect of making videos. Like I enjoy editing and sort of like putting together a story or whatever.
It's art.
Yeah, exactly. It's art in its own form. And Dory liked running the cameras, like just something she enjoyed, like framing things and, getting to the slow-mo shots and all this B-roll and stuff. So that was fun. But as soon as you want to be as competitive as possible, you can only spread yourself so thin at a match.
Exactly.
And Dory's like, this year I want to really focus on shooting. Obviously, she qualified for the ladies team for the world championship and everything. So I said, you know what, it's totally fine. Like, let's just put down the cameras basically for this season and see what we can do. It was the right choice because we have so much backlog of matches now anyway. I feel like if you want to watch anything, it's kind of there, and it tracked both of our progression from like day one.
Yeah.
Literally my first match ever, positional Rimfire, is on YouTube, and then this is our sixth
When was that? What was the date? Of
January 2020. It was my first ORPS match in the winter. And, I filmed it at the time. I just had a little GoPro and it was just like on a little, tripod, just like pointing towards me. And then it sort of got fancier and fancier. And it was a lot of fun making those videos, but you need to really be dedicated to like one or the other. I don't think you can make that level of video content and be super competitive. It's just not possible.
What you're saying is you need to hire a cameraman.
Yeah.
Well,
to follow you around.
If we made money, that could pay for a cameraman, maybe. But definitely not possible.
You know what this is? This is like the apprenticeship, right? Because Dory was the cameraman, and now she's a shooter. Now, whoever takes over for Dory is now in your own Matt Huey apprentice program.
That's right.
Turning it into a podium.
Yeah, it was good, and like we both learned a lot too. Because when you're filming that much content, it's easier to review what you're doing. So in a way, you're forced
to review.
Yeah, exactly. And the YouTube side of stuff actually made me a better shooter because I don't want to just keep posting content of, no offense, but like I feel like it'd be boring if I just plateaued and all I ever did was get like 50% of matches. You know what I mean? Like, so I was like, you know what? To make this content more interesting, let's see how good I can become and see if I can start like winning matches and stuff. And I guess it kind of worked. So
was that a goal? Were you where did that? What was the tipping point where you said, okay, I want to be really competitive as to just showing up and doing well? Was there a point where you
I would say,
or you knew?
I would say probably my second year, like 2022, second or third year into it is when I realized that if I was going to be pouring this much time and money, like traveling to do this, I wanted to see if I could, so to say, like make something happen at matches I went to. And not to say I'd be disappointed if I didn't podium, but for a while, I was always placing in Canadian matches because I hadn't gone to the States yet. I was always placing top 10, but I never podiumed. I was always 4th to 9th, just like in that. Yeah. And it's always because one or two stages I do like a silly mental mistake. So my first goal ever in terms of like actual training goals was just to eliminate mental mistakes. Like not shoot the wrong target or like get my sequencing mixed up. And like, I just wanted to make sure I had a clean match mentally.
Right.
Maybe not physically yet. Like my fundamentals are still being developed. So, but as soon as you find that level of consistency, you can see like the results sort of spike, and then you find another level of consistency. And each time you kind of climb a little bit higher, and then you just keep doing that and really targeting in on what to focus on and train on. And
and that's a good point. I mean, that's great advice for any shooter. Like eliminate the dumb mistakes. Like it could be one rev out, right? How many times would be one rev out or
exactly?
Or when the RO says, "Do you understand the course of fire?" and you say yes, you should mean it.
There's There's no vaccine for that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. Never get into a habit where you're just rolling through it, because
Yeah.
then as soon as you become complacent, you're gonna
Yeah.
for sure make a mental
Yeah.
mistake. Yeah.
I mean, every person is going to need their own process, but it's important to have a process. So
Yeah.
you know, have you ever underloaded a mag? Right, you hear a click instead of a bang. Has that ever happened to you? Well, that's easy points right there, right?
Yeah.
That,
Well,
you know,
actually,
you
so
can-
speaking of that, like at really important matches, just because you reminded me, I always have it for matches that like I really, really want to do well at. I always have a topped up mag in my tripod caddy,
Yeah.
plus the 2 that I normally use on my belt.
Okay.
So if I go up to the line, I realize, oh, I forgot to load this mag. I just run to
You're
my
good to go.
tripod. I just grab that mag right away. I don't have to, because it's always annoying when that shooter has to
Yep.
stop and load your mags. And there's some matches they won't let you. Like if it's your turn to
Yeah.
shoot, it doesn't matter. You know, it's your turn to shoot. So you have to
Yeah.
find like build some redundancies into your system and things like that. You know, just try and be as prepared as possible for any situation.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
For a while, I was just like living and dying by a checklist, because I'll
Yes.
shoot once a month, once every 2 months. So forgetting things is easy, right? So
Yeah.
it's like you go through the checklist. Are your scope caps open? Where's your parallax for this stage? Is your zoom at the right? Like, are you doing a KYL at 50 meters?
Yeah.
Or are you shooting at 300? Like,
Yeah.
Are you set for this? So like,
Yeah.
I still have that checklist in a little bag, and I go through it before every stage. Yes. Mags loaded. Yes.
Yeah, which is smart. I feel like I never actually had a physical checklist that I wrote down, but I would do the same thing mentally, like because I have like an organizer on my tripod. So my organizer starts with dope card, right? Dope card, and then the next pocket is my ammo box. I go write my dope card, make sure I'm loaded. Okay, and then next I go to my rifle and I just go muzzle to buttstock and just do like a once over.
Nice.
So it's kind of the same thing for checklist stuff. Yeah.
The only thing you have to remember is don't forget the checklist.
Yeah, if you write it down, you can't forget it, or else you're screwed.
Yeah.
That's on the checklist.
Yeah.
What I do have a checklist for is packing, because I
Yeah.
am terrible at packing, so I always forget something. So I do have checklists for packing, like if it's multi-day or whatever. But in terms of my stage process, I think I have that pretty pat down now.
Apparently you do.
Yeah.
Apparently you do. Survey says. That's wild. So out of all the shooting you do, what percentage is practice, what percentage is matches? And has that changed over time?
It definitely has changed over time. I would say when I first started, the Kevin Goyette days.
Yeah, for sure.
So for those who don't know who are listening, Kevin, who's been on this podcast in the past, him and I kind of started training together. He was already in PRS Rimfire before I was. Like, I would say he was one of the experienced shooters when I first got into it, but he had this property that we would train on every single Saturday, sometimes Saturday and Sunday. So we would be training. If there wasn't a match on that weekend, we would be training at the farm, or what we would consider training back in the day. I wouldn't consider it training now, but we were shooting. And basically back then it was like 90% training and ammo testing, in quotations, okay, ammo testing, and then 10% matches. I think, and I don't think that was the wrong way to do it, because I feel like novice shooters probably need that. Like, I feel like building your fundamentals and not having the match environment is important to really break down your shooting. So that was, the first 2 years or so. But as we started shooting more and more matches, the match season became really busy, to the point where you hardly have any free weekends, or if you do, you want to stay home and not, get caught up on chores or whatever. So nowadays, a lot of my non-match shooting and training is more in the off season. And to be honest, when I'm in the match season, like May to October or whatever, I basically don't live fire or train at all. I might dry fire through the week, but I don't really practice, because what I do is in the springtime, if I get a new lot of ammo that year, I'll make sure I have a really good curve. Yeah. Dope it out, make sure my curve is good. We'll do dry fire through the winter quite a bit. Springtime, make sure that you still remember how to pull a trigger with a round in the chamber, whatever. And then match season comes, and we're basically just, each match is kind of training for the next match. But I feel like you have to be at a certain level of proficiency in order
Correct.
to do that. I don't think a beginner, I wouldn't recommend that for a beginner. I don't think you would improve.
Yeah, you're maintaining a level of proficiency, right?
Yeah.
Others are trying to develop that proficiency.
Yeah.
Like building a stable position quickly is one of the biggest things you should be looking at, and that's all part of fundamentals. Right?
Yeah, and as a word of warning, I guess, to new shooters is I would actually be careful, because some new shooters, and this is great, they're really, really, I guess, like excited to be part of this new sport, and they're trying to shoot as many matches as possible. But what ends up happening is maybe their fundamentals have not been developed properly, so they're just really ingraining bad habits, because as soon as the shot timer goes off, you don't have time to think about how you should maybe try something differently or properly. You're just going through the motions. And I feel like a lot of new shooters might sort of like ingrain really bad habits. So we see that all the time. So taking a step back and either getting proper training from like a clinic or a course, or just breaking it down yourself to do it without the shot timer looming over your head, is probably the best route before you really dive into matches like every single weekend or however you want to do it. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's
untraining bad habits is hard too, right? Like
yes.
If you've trained, I don't know, quote unquote, the wrong way, like whatever way that is, where you've built something fundamentally wrong into your fundamentals, and you've done that 100 times. Well, it might take 200 times of learning it the right way to untrain that fundamental that's not.
Exactly. Really. And the reason why before I was laughing and saying that what Kevin and I was doing at the farm wasn't really training is because it was exactly that. We would always just come up with a stage, and with a shot timer, we would shoot it. But that means we weren't actually like practicing our position or transitions. We were just trying to like beat the clock and see if we can get impacts. So for basically 18 months, we were shooting a lot, but we weren't really improving. If I'm honest, like we were putting a ton of lead down range, but we were getting fast. Like we could move quickly, I guess. But I would say my fundamentals really like plateaued for a while. And once I realized that, there was one off season, I can't remember which year it was. I want to say it was probably between 2022, like winter of 2022, 2023. I think that's when I first dry fired, because before then I never dry fired, but I got a proper dry fire setup, and I made it a point to basically unwind everything that I had learned or developed habit-wise the previous seasons, and build from the ground up my positions in every single like low to high position, how I would change or transition position to position with my rifle, with different techniques to use my bag. I don't know if you remember, but 2022, that season specifically, I remember because I was using tripod rear for like everything. It was my crutch. And people would comment on YouTube like, why don't you learn to shoot properly with a tripod? And I would get all defensive. They're like, well, tripod is, a tool in the bag, which it is. And there's a time and place for it. But like 80% of the stages I was shooting with tripod rear. And I think it was probably because it was a bit of a crutch. So when I started really training everything else that needed to be trained, there was like sort of a big jump basically in how I would approach stages and my competency through a match. Yeah.
Now, just to clarify dry fire, it's not just the act of pulling the trigger. It's the process of getting into a position, acquiring a sight picture, squeezing off, doing the follow through, and then breaking that down and moving to the next position, correct?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, when I talk about like fundamentals, I'm not just talking about like fundamentals of shooting. Like Maple Seed fundamentals is definitely important, but in PRS, I feel like you have another set because you're shooting from all these different positions on different props. You have to have basically a I don't know what to call it, like a procedural method of figuring out the best way to shoot off of that specific position. And I would say there's probably multiple ways that you could argue are correct to do things, but there's definitely multiple wrong ways of doing something as well. So it's hard knowing if you're on the right track as a new shooter, especially if you don't really have someone to give you direct feedback right away. So the best way to do it is try and get the help of more experienced shooters, which is easy because at a match, everyone wants to help you anyway. So you can be really blunt and just ask them like, hey, if you see me do something wrong, just straight up tell me.
Or watch YouTube videos.
Well, so that is actually good and bad. I love YouTube, obviously, but anyone can pick up a camera and everyone has an internet connection. So be careful about the advice you give on YouTube. I've always tried to be careful. I always like preface whatever I say with like, I'm not an expert, yada, yada, yada. But some people will present themselves as experts when really maybe they're not quite at that level yet, is what I'll say. So it'll just be wary. There's definitely, again, multiple ways you can do something, get from point A to point B. But I would say consistency is key for any shooting discipline, obviously. So.
Yeah. And as far as positions, like for dry firing, you're essentially going like prone and high prone, kneeling, somewhere between kneeling and standing, and standing.
Yeah.
Those are the four things that, like, if you can master those, you've got 95% of the positions you're going to be on, unless the match director's evil.
Yeah, exactly. Like basically the reason why a ladder or something similar with so many multi-levels is good to practice is because that's exactly what you want to practice. But at the same time, each prop is different because you have different surfaces or depths or like malleability of the material to work with or whatever. Like a car hood is really bouncy. It's hard to practice that at home. Unless you have a car inside or something. But it's tricky, but you can definitely get a lot of your training done indoors.
But for someone just starting, I mean, you get a dining room chair or a kitchen chair. You've got the back of the chair, the seat of the chair, and under the chair. Just start small. And when you're comfortable doing that, lie the chair down and then shoot off all the bits and pieces that are sticking up or sticking out.
It is good to train dry fire, but it's balanced with live fire training and matches because there are some things you can't train dry fire, like obviously reading the wind or follow-up shots, corrections and all that. That's impossible to do dry fire. And then I would say matches are just as critical to develop when you want to be competitive, because you can't develop the mental side of training in terms of your mental game and, recovering from an error in a stage. Like that's really hard to do because even in live fire practice, if you make a mistake, you're like, oh, whatever, it's, not with points. It's not the same mental stress, So there's a balance between shooting enough matches where your mental game stays strong enough and you have a good pre-stage checklist and post-stage checklist, like what Chava was saying. But you're not only shooting matches, you got to balance it one way or the other.
Yeah. And I think it's like what you work on changes as you progress through that ladder of new shooter, rookie shooter, intermediate shooter, seasoned shooter, and then developing podium shooter and a podium shooter, right?
Yeah.
There's many, many different stages you go through, and gear is somewhere in that timeline, but when you're just starting out, we're working on you. You be just as effective with any rifle that we get.
That's right. Right. I would actually say a lot of people, again, new shooters, because they're just so excited about this hobby, is all they want to do is shoot matches and test their gear. But, first off, I'm not convinced that a new shooter who hasn't done any sort of precision rifle discipline actually knows what gear they need or like how to quantify if it's working for them. A lot of new shooters just shoot like bricks after bricks of ammo, trying to test their barrels and stuff. And really, it's maybe not always necessary. Your time and money definitely is better spent developing your own skills first, because as you grow in the sport, you will kind of figure out what you need, what you don't need, and what works and what doesn't work in your gear anyway. Yeah.
But if you got the money, why not? Go for
again,
it.
There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it at all. Yeah. If that's what you enjoy and you like ammo testing, like, hey man, all power to you. But I'm talking if you want to sort of like take the shortcut and skip a lot of the mistakes that people like myself have made, because I don't know how many like cases of ammo that were probably not helpful to me that I've shot. It's probably a significant round count, if I'm being totally honest.
Well, that's good though. I mean, that's the reality, because again, we don't know what we don't know. I mean, it's like it's a journey, right? It's not it's not an overnight success. It's a long road, and sometimes you're at the top of the hill, sometimes you're going down, sometimes you're going up that hill. But there are hills and there are peaks and valleys that you go through, and it's what it was, it's what it is. Everyone's going to go through that in varying degrees. And the nice part is that we all get to where we want to be eventually if we listen to the people around us and put the effort into where it really counts, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part is finding those people that can help get you there.
For sure. Yeah. Again, I would highly recommend like proper training from someone who I would consider like a professional or expert. Like Chris Simmons, for example, puts on clinics where he is. Like people like that would be great. Like Yannick has put on clinics here in Canada. Definitely a good starting point. Or actually, like the Rimfire Academy from CRPS is a great starting point as well, because you need some basis of knowledge to know if you're doing something correct. It's hard to start from nothing and build from nothing, right?
That's it. And then so at some point you start podiuming. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, is that
podiuming? I was like, is that too?
It's a word now.
Is that a verb now?
Yeah, it is. I podiumed last week, or he podiumed.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It is. That was 2 years ago when you turned that corner, or
so I remember. Is it on my wall? No, it's not. I took down a lot of the trophies that were there, but my first ever PRS match trophy was an NRS match. It was one of Adam's matches, and I got third place. And it was a big Insight Arms trophy. It's like 5/8 thick AR 500. I think it's like this. Like it weighs 10 pounds or something. But that was my first ever podium.
Nice.
And that was already after I had really started to try and improve. And after that, I was hooked. I was like, okay, I want to see if I can do well. I'm always going to try and enjoy my matches, but now I'm like really concentrated in performing as best as I can. So I found
that was 2 years ago.
I think that was 2022, the end of 2022.
3 years. Okay.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
that was my first podium. And then I had a few because that was towards the end of the season. In 2023, I really found my consistency in terms of my process. Again, that was a winter. That was after the winter that I had really done a ton of dry fire. I'm talking like, I'm not even exaggerating. Every single day I was dry firing because I really wanted to build up. Because I realized watching some footage and comparing it, even shooting side by side with other better shooters, that I was doing something differently in a bad way. Like there was a level of consistency that I just wasn't reaching, and I knew it wasn't the gun because every time I tested the gun, it shoots the same. So I know what my gun can do. It was something, behind the trigger.
Yeah.
So in 2023, I really found the consistency that I was looking for, and I just kind of built on that. So, and it's hard to describe what it was. Everyone always asks me what the secret sauce is. There really isn't anything, because I think everyone probably needs to be concentrating on something different depending on what your strengths and weaknesses are. And I feel like some shooters need more matches if your mental game is weak, and other shooters might need more dry fire practice if their mental game is strong. It doesn't deteriorate as fast, but they might have some sloppiness in their fundamentals. And I'm still trying to improve every aspect as well, because as I mentioned, everyone's always getting better.
Yeah.
So if you want to remain competitive, you have to try and refine everything possible.
And I think something else that's probably important too is like if you're at matches and you're shooting with a high level shooter, watch what they're doing, right? Like if you're thinking of a stage plan and there's options on what you want to do, maybe talk to them ahead of time. Be like, hey, what are you gonna? How do you want to shoot this stage? Are you going from the highest position to the lowest position?
Yeah.
Or are you going from the lowest to the highest? And why? Because like you might be like, hey, I'm going to go to the highest to the lowest, but maybe going prone will get you points, right?
Yeah.
And just maybe that will get you good win calls. Something that a new shooter might not think of. And it's like, watch what they do, and if they're being successful, there's a reason why they're doing it the way that they're doing it, especially in the stage planning side of things.
Never take for granted if you're squatted with a shooter that is one of the top guys or whatever. Definitely watch what they're doing and ask questions, because they're always going to be willing to help you out, and that's the best way to learn is from someone who knows what they're doing. Because if you don't know what you're doing, you might as well ask someone who does. And that's when I started shooting in the States specifically, I was starting to see a whole nother level of shooting in terms of like skill level that I hadn't really seen in Canada yet on the rimfire side. So when you're watching these shooters are just like incredible, like you wouldn't even fathom a hit percentage that high, but now it's the standard. You know what I mean? Like that really is what the difference was back then. I think 2022 is the first year I went down to the States. So it hasn't even been that long, but the sport has matured immensely in the last 3 years, to be honest.
Yeah.
But definitely just see what they're doing differently. And then if they give you advice, don't ever take something personally, because I've seen some shooters also kind of get defensive, be like, well, I want to do it this way because it's worked in the past, but they're probably trying to help you in your overall development, not just like in that moment. Because in that moment, you might actually do it better the way you've been doing it because that's just what you're used to. But if you're willing to make that change, it might be better for you in the long run. Just, something to think about.
It's so hard though.
It is tough. It's really
the
tough.
ego is like, Yeah.
You need the maple seed teachable attitude.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, a teachable attitude is very critical. I'll give you a quick example. Is I used to have minimum 2 bags on me every single stage because I always had my pump pillow on my waistband or on my belt. I might not always use it, but it was always dangling off of me. And then sometimes I'd have like 2 bags or 1 bag or an attached bag and a separate bag. And I was just overcomplicating everything. The past year, or past 2 seasons, really, the only time I ever have something attached to my chassis for a bag is if I'm running tripod rear, which is very rare nowadays. And the only time I use a pump pillow is probably on a rooftop. So in the UK, I think there's 20 stages. And we brought the pump pillow, Dory and I. We have a pump pillow, and it was such a pain because it's huge. It doesn't weigh anything, but it's big. It takes up space. So we had to use this massive checked luggage that was like extra big to bring this stupid pump pillow. And she used it, I think, for 1, maybe 2 stages, and I didn't use it at all. So then when we went to Idaho a few weeks later for nationals, we're like, we're leaving this thing at home. We're not going to use it. And also, here's a tip. Someone in your squad is going to have a pump pillow, so you don't have to take the space in your luggage to bring one. And I only bring 1 bag with me now. It's just, once you simplify everything, you stop trying to overcomplicate stuff. It's way easier because your stage approach, you don't really have to think about it in terms of what bag you're going to use because you know what bag you're going to use. But if I was a shooter giving this advice to someone who loves using 4 bags, it sounds really scary to drop all your bags and just pick up 1 to shoot the stage, right? But I think a lot of shooters might benefit from simplifying their stage planning, or what bags they want to use on a stage, because they want to use all the bags because it's worked for them in the past in this one specific scenario where they have a plate bag on top of another bag with a pump pillow in the rear. Like, maybe once in a blue moon that might be the way to do it, but generally speaking, especially new shooters overcomplicate their plan for stage execution more so than experienced shooters, for sure.
Yeah, but there's so much gear available out there now,
Yeah, that's true. And again, I know Travis is here, so maybe I should
discouraging people from buying bags.
Travis is here, so he's probably,
you need all of them.
he's actually texting me on the side. Matt, shut up! People need to buy more bags. No, I'm kidding. But no, it's so true though, right? Like, there's a place for bags, and there's a place to use multiple bags on a stage. Like, I'm not going to deny that I've ever used multiple bags in the last 2 seasons. But
maybe a new competitor should learn just to use 1 bag, right? Just do your best with 1 bag.
That's actually why I loved ORPS, Rick. Is because back in the day, I think it changed, but back in the day, ORPS, the club level matches had a rule where you can only use 1 bag. There's no pump pillows allowed or whatever. And it was like more about the like pure, marksmanship than gaming stages, if you will.
Same with the production rules. It used to be 1 bag.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So again, I'm not telling anyone not to do something, but if a really good shooter is telling you maybe try something a different way, maybe give it a shot. It could.
What do you have
could be onto something?
Right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. And then so 2023 was your breakout year, I guess.
Yeah, I would say that year was the most, the biggest jump in terms of my performance that I could see, both in terms of, I guess, like my hit percentage to winner, and also like podium finishes or top 10 finishes, however you want to quantify it. That was the year there was the biggest jump from being, I would call myself like top mid packer in 2022 to 2023. I was really finding my strides in terms of how to be competitive at a lot of different venues too. We were traveling a lot in 2023.
So you were a contender at that time.
Yeah, I guess that's
broken through, and now you were in the hunt. You were in the game.
Yeah.
I remember that year specifically because you won every match I hosted.
Yes, yeah, at Avonmore, right at the court.
Yeah,
yes.
Avonmore is just like Max showed up, he won.
Yeah, so I did kind of feel. I never felt bad, but there was this thing where once people like saw me pull into the parking lot, they were like, "Oh, like here's my like." It almost sounded like they were disappointed that I was there. I was like, "That's kind of, that kind of sucks." But I will always try my best at a match. That's basically what I do. Like, because that's what I find fun.
Yeah, I mean it's called elevating the game, man. You know, you don't want to shoot last year's game. You want to shoot this year's game. This is the game, right? And people get better, and you got to step up your game if you want a podium.
Yeah, Travis, honestly, I'm actually really bummed Avonmore has been taken off the schedule, because you know how everyone has like their venue? Like everyone has like that special venue. Avonmore is my special venue.
Oh, nice.
It always does me good.
No one else has ever won Avonmore.
Yeah. I think Yannick won the first one.
Oh, okay.
In 21. And then...
So there was a few matches earlier on in Avonmore, which I didn't do very well, but that was when I was still like learning the sport. But after, I think the 2 years you were still hosting matches at Avonmore, I think I won all of them that I showed up to, which is awesome.
No, I was happy to see it.
Yeah, I love the quarry. That place is
maybe
sweet.
If we ever get insurance again, then we'll fix that problem.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, it's a great venue.
Yeah, it's wild. And so the mindset you were carrying into that year, you were just maintaining at that point, right? Or you're still actively working on
so in 2023, I was still really working. It was one of our busiest match seasons. It might have been the most matches we shot in a season. I think it was actually 2023, because that year specifically, we were traveling a lot, like to PA, New York, like all the states in the Northeast. But I was still doing.
That was the first year for Rimfire Worlds too, right?
Yes. Yeah, that was Italy. Yeah. Okay. But that year specifically, I was also training dry fire during the season, which I haven't done the past 2 seasons. But I was still really trying to find improvements in my own game in 2023, and I'm still doing that today. I'm not saying like I've maxed out, like I'm the best shooter. Like I'm not saying that whatsoever. But that year specifically, I still had a lot of improvements to be had. Now it's a lot of mental game that I need to train, and I need to just make sure my like physical like skills, I guess, whatever you want to call it, stay sharp through the off season and through the winter.
And that's the thing, because so when I was in competitive shooting, you know, I'd win the local matches, but that didn't teach you anything. I kept expanding the circle just to keep pushing to see where I am, because even though you're good, you might not be as good as the regional, the provincial, or the national level guys. Yeah. And it's important, even though if you're podiuming, it's you're in a bubble, right? If you always shoot with the same guys,
that's right.
You're not really validating what you're lacking. You know, especially it's all the same match directors too, right? Which means most of the matches, you know, Travis has got his match flavor, I've got my match flavor, Adam's got his, and you know, there's a repetitiveness to it. As much as we try and vary it, there's always going to be the standard type of position breaks and targetry, and so that's why it's important to, once you start getting good, it's time to expand your horizons and push yourself, right? That's why you go to the States, really, just to see that next level of competition you might not even have seen. Yeah. And then too bad Worlds is only every 2 years, but it's good. It's good for the pocketbook, but
know, exactly.
From a development perspective, I think we're missing out a little bit, you know?
Yeah. No, actually what you say is very true in terms of like expanding your circle. The reason why we put so much emphasis and we're willing to travel to all these matches is because I feel like in PRS Rimfire, or PRS in general, it's really important not to be in your own bubble if you want to be really competitive at like national level or regional level events. Like you said, different match directors have their different styles. And then it's also really important just shooting in different conditions and different locations. You kind of pick up on how to read environments, because if you're always shooting the same area, same direction, you know exactly what to look at for wind calls. But if you're at a new range, it's your first time there. How does a new shooter out of nowhere come to a range for the first time and win the match? Well, it's because they're a very well-rounded shooter. They know what cues to look for. They know how to look for signs of, you know, whatever's going on downrange, and then they know how to adapt. Actually, the UK World Championship, this match for the World Championship, that match was, for me, a lesson in adapting to a course of fire that I wasn't really comfortable with in many ways. But I was able to do that because I think shooting all these different locations has allowed me to be a little bit more well-rounded than some others.
Yeah.
If you only shoot 2 or 3 venues versus Dory and I, some seasons we shot 20 different venues, some of them multiple times.
That's wild.
Yeah, like we don't shoot in one place very often. So we kind of have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable at a new venue, right? I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I feel like that's really important if you really want to achieve.
You're adaptable, basically, right? You know how to get comfortable quickly or settle in.
Yeah. 2023 again, that year is special because we hit up so many new venues we had never been to. We really started traveling down through the States a little bit heavier. And each time you go to a venue, well, the first thing you do in the morning is you're scanning, you're kind of scanning things to see what might be a good wind indicator or what weird sort of foliage and trees might like make the wind do something weird on this tree line. And you know what to look for. And then when you get the course of fire, a lot of match directors, you only see the course of fire the day of. So long gone are the days where you would get them 72 hours in advance. You can like prep your doe cards. Well, now you need to know how to do it like in the moment. Right? Yeah. It's completely different. It's a whole nother level of being prepared for anything. Yeah. And both Dory and I got more comfortable just being able to adapt because we shot so many new venues with new match directors, and some match directors like small targets close up, some match directors like generous targets really far out, and then some crazy match directors like really small targets also really far out. So like there's sort of like a learning curve to every match that you show up to for the first time, which is great. That's what makes it fun and keeps it fresh.
Yeah.
And you practice new skills too, right? Like being in the valley, we don't have inclines to shoot on.
Yes,
so
that's
right. You might want to go to a range where you can practice on an incline shooting downhill, but you might also want to know how to shoot uphill.
Yeah.
Right. Because totally different.
Yeah.
And also it's like, well, maybe some targets in the bush instead of a big open field. How do you find targets in the woods?
Oh yes. What's actually really funny is when we first shot our first woodsy match where the targets were like within the trees and stuff, I remember my target acquisition was horrendous because I had never struggled so much. Because you get on your scope and you're not on the target, well, all you see is branches. And then you're like looking at all the wrong branches. So you develop ways of having better target acquisition and all this stuff. And then we go to Idaho, and I wasn't really worried about target acquisition because it's just like a giant desert. But it turns out in the desert, it's also tough because when you don't have big placards labeling your targets, well, now you get on glass. If you're not on the target, you just see sand. So it's just like, so it's
no landmarks, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just another thing we didn't really think of until we were there.
Yeah. So people should go to other matches, get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, it's not only.
Is that something I'd say for a brand new competitor? I don't know.
No, it's not. It's not necessary. If you're starting out, and
you're just learning how to shoot a match.
Yeah, exactly. You need to develop your own skills first before really expanding to I would say that realm of developing your
next
game.
level. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to be comfortable, right?
Yeah, you have to be comfortable with your own, because if there is such thing as having too much to think about.
Yeah.
New shooters are thinking about everything they're doing, their body position, their trigger pull, their breathing, how to actually shoot the stage. You don't need to think about all these external factors as well. It's okay to be at a club where you're comfortable at and just work on that for the first while. It's totally fine.
Yeah.
That's why it's funny, because there's no one tip that's good for all shooters, because depending where you are in your progression in the sport, this tip that could really help you is going to be totally detrimental to the new guy who's just starting. So, yeah.
And no matter where you're shooting too, it's and no matter what stage of shooting you're at, whether you're beginner or pro, it's you can always practice mindset.
Yes.
Right. So even if you just keep going to local matches and you're just focusing on mindset, I mean, this game is 90% mental.
Yes.
Right. So that's probably doesn't matter.
Yeah. I don't want anyone to misunderstand what we were saying. I'm not telling everyone you have to travel every weekend, but if you want to bring it up to the next level and be really comfortable and knowing how to adapt to new situations, that's where it really comes into hand.
I mean, because you in your particular case, you were learning how to shoot highly competitive matches at the highest levels of the sport. So you were
yeah,
working
because
on those skills.
I was working up towards nationals. Like,
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, the PRS series each year is a new season basically, and how you do through the season, you build up and then you'll shoot your regionals. I think there's 10 regions now, so North America is sort of like divided up into all these regions. You shoot your regional finale, and depending how you do at your regional finale, you can get an invite to nationals. So if your goal is to make it to nationals, well, you don't have a choice in where your regional finale is or where the national finale is. If you want to shoot those matches, you're going to have to go to those venues.
Yeah.
And if you've never been to those venues, you might as well practice all these different venues that you might, learn something new at. So over the years, it would actually be cool to go back and see how many unique venues we've shot at. I don't have a specific unique club count, but what I did, my Google Maps, every location I've ever shot a match at, I've put a pin under it's just titled ranges, so I can see a heat map of where I've shot all these matches, which is kind of cool because it's obviously very dense in the Northeast and Ontario and stuff. And then we have a few dots on the west side. There's one in Wisconsin, one down in Texas, and then 2 over in Europe. So it's just kind of cool to see all the different locations we've shot at, and I just kind of track it for my own interest's sake. But it's neat to see how we've traveled to shoot matches. Yeah.
I guess one thing you could probably say is if you are shooting in a club and you're plateauing, you're winning a bunch of matches, but you're stuck at an 80% hit rate, something like that, then maybe traveling will push you and get you off of that plateau.
Well, maybe, but if you're at the same club and shooting 80%, that probably means it's not the adaptable factor. It's probably something more to do with fundamentals, or just having a better stage execution, being more consistent and all that.
There's nothing wrong with being 80%.
No, there's not. Hey, if you enjoy being 80% and it doesn't bother you, you're having the time of your life, do not do anything different. That's exactly what you should be doing.
And you don't have to train to maintain 80.
Yeah, exactly.
You just buy a box of ammo, show up, shoot 80% all day long.
There's nothing wrong with it.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
you might be shooting if you're always first place at 80% and you go to a different club. Well,
right.
Those guys might be 95%.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
So they might push you. I've always found for hockey, for example, if you play with the same level of players, you never get better.
Yeah.
But if you play with better players, they push you, and typically your skill level will increase, right? So,
I would say that's with most sports. If you want to be better, hang with the better guys. You never want to be the best at something in your group because no one's pushing you.
Yeah.
You always have to keep each other.
You are the average of the people you hang around with. Something like that.
Similar
to that birds of a feather kind of thing.
Yeah.
But hang around the people you want to be, I guess. Within reason, I mean. Did you have a mentor working with you? Or was that all just
not like an official trainer or whatever? I would say I would consider some shooters mentors for sure.
Yeah.
Some shooters I really look up to that helped me. If I ever had questions, if I'm doing something wrong, or sometimes I just send them a short clip and be like, what was I doing here? Can you help me figure it out? Yeah, there's definitely shooters that I would consider mentors, but especially in Canada, it's hard to find a PRS trainer because the sport is relatively new, and people that are at the top of their game are probably too busy to drop a weekend, and just help you out. But if you ever squad with them, you can definitely use them as a mentor, if they're cool with it. In the States, I really like how they operate in the States because there's a lot of mentorship sort of relationships there. There's a lot of good shooters who always shoot the same youth shooter because they're developing that youth shooter. I think that's really good. And here, it's similar with some youth shooters and their parents, but sometimes the parents are also maybe still learning. So they're trying to help their kid as best as possible. But in terms of the developmental competition side of stuff in the States, it's no other. They're developing these youth shooters to be just absolute beasts right off the gate. And you can tell these little 9-year-old girls have perfect fundamental. You watch them behind the rifle and they look like they've been shooting for 15 years and they're only 9 years old. So you do the math on that. It's impressive.
Prenatal training.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The Matrix.
But teaching can help you break through some plateaus too. I think if you're a high level shooter, getting to that next level and instructing, because that it's kind of a way to review what you're doing. Whenever you're teaching somebody else, and like if you're not teaching, you're just going through the motions. You might not be reflecting on what you're doing. Versus if you're teaching, you're going to reflect on what you're doing to be like, yes, I need to teach this right. Oh, I've been having this bad habit that I don't want to teach people.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So,
there's nothing like having to teach something to figure out what you're doing, what you have to do.
Well, that's another reason how like YouTube kind of helped me, is because I didn't want to put content out there of me doing something silly. Well, there's definitely content of me doing silly stuff, but like I wanted to show that I was actively developing my own skills, and then when Dory was starting to get more serious into it, having to try and coach her along was really difficult, because I now have to put into words what I'm doing, but I never thought about how to explain it before.
Right.
But it's good because I've explained it to Dory, hopefully in the best way I can. So if someone else asks me the same question, I kind of have a better answer for them, than I otherwise would have. So, yeah.
So that's cool. Yeah, that's true. You've got to distill it into the essence of what it is that you're trying to articulate, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's wild. I never thought about that. Yeah. And then from now at the same time, the group of shooters that also are podiuming are on the same journey with you, right? Around the same time?
Yeah. Like Colin Gilmore and I, funny enough, we actually shot our very first match in January 2020 together. We didn't know each other at the time. So I don't even think we talked to each other that day, but we both started at the same time. And now he's a phenomenal shooter too. He's podiumed a bunch of times. Like this year, he had a really, really good, strong year as well. He was on the team with me in the UK. So it's cool to see both of us develop sort of together, and we're travel buddies. Like him and I live fairly close. So we travel to a lot of the matches together. And I don't know how many kilometers we put on his truck. He just got a new truck last year, and I think it's close to like 60,000 kilometers on the thing now. And most of it is PRS matches. It's a lot. He did the math, actually. I don't know if he posted it yet, but when he does his season recap, I think he's going to list how many kilometers we drove this year in his truck. It's a lot. I think it's over 20,000 for sure. It's a lot of traveling, which is fun. with the right people, it's fun.
It is. That's why I travel alone.
It's because people don't want to hang around you, Rick.
Exactly. Yeah. No one can put up with me. Imagine
you have a lot of kilometers on those trucks, those Ram trucks.
Yeah, the ones that I wear out. The ones I wear out and have to replace.
Last time I saw you, you had a new Ram. I was like, "Is that a new truck?" And you're like, "Well, I didn't have a choice. The other one blew up or something."
Yeah,
the nicest truck I've ever seen Rick drive.
Yeah, I know. I know. It's awesome. I was like the best. It's my dream truck.
Is it a 1500? What is it?
Oh, it's a 2500.
It's a 25. Oh, wow.
2500, 6.7 diesel, baby. This thing.
Is it a Cummins?
It's a Cummins. It doesn't even feel that stupid trailer that would hold me back to 60 kilometers an hour going up some of the passes in BC. Now I'm just passing people with it now. It's nuts. That's awesome. It's perfect. It's finally perfect.
Yeah.
Now I can buy a bigger trailer. That's what happened.
Haul more steel and rifles out with you.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's good. Yep. Yeah. I think we did a 15K in this summer.
Wow.
Yeah. But because we're doing Maple Seed also along the way, so I ended up going to Fort St. John, Dawson Creek. A couple of matches up there too.
Speaking of Maple Seed, there's a Maple Seed event this upcoming weekend at Stittsville, I think. Okay. Yeah, I might drop by and say hi. I love Maple Seed. It's like a special place in my heart.
It's home. Yeah. It's like it feels homey.
Exactly. I love seeing all those shooters line up and they're all nervous to shoot the MQT. I love seeing that. It's just like it brings back the good old days.
Yeah, it's so true. It is so much fun. Yeah. When you see someone going for when you get to see them the first time they do it, and then the next event that they do it, it's a completely different person. They're just so chill, or usually they're much more relaxed. They've got this, they've relaxed, but you can always tell when someone's really wanting to get it and they just get super wound up, and you try and calm them down. So look, just do what we tell you. Just listen.
And so actually
just break it down.
So Maple Seed, I can't remember what year I took it. I took it with Kevin and Rob Gordon actually was there. There's three of us that went together. And I remember after taking maple seed, I hadn't really realized you could be that like technical about shooting fundamentals, like the way it was taught and laid out. I sort of applied that to every aspect of PRS. Basically, I was like, if I were to take this aspect of PRS and turn it into a maple seed course, how would I train it? And that's basically how I developed my PRS fundamentals. Yeah, it's basically the approach I used, and I think it's a good way of doing it, to be honest. So those of you who don't know maple seed, it's like the Canadian take on apple seed, which is the pure basics of marksmanship fundamentals, shooting offhand. So it teaches you correct positioning, prone, kneeling, standing, offhand shooting, and like rifle fundamentals, I guess. It's a great place to start, even for a pure shooter. I know we don't shoot offhand these days, but you can you can learn a lot from it, for sure. Yeah. We had I'll open the document here. We had some questions. I posted an Instagram story saying I was coming online, and there were some question submissions. I gave them to Travis, I think.
Yeah, I've been kind of bolding them as we've talked about.
Oh, nice. Perfect.
So whatever's bolded, we've talked about. But
yeah, I guess we can just go down.
Yeah.
Okay, so most memorable moments / achievements. I mean, this year is pretty special for achievements.
Yeah, well, hell, we kind of danced around it.
We did dance around it.
Well, why don't you just give us the recap of your year?
Yeah, so this year was really special because it was my second World Championship. The first one was 2023 in Italy, but I was definitely still learning the ropes in general. And I'm still learning the ropes, but I feel a lot more confident these days going into the match and feeling like I'm competitive. So that was was it August? Man, time flies. I guess it was August. And then as a team, we learned a lot from Italy. The Canadian team in Italy had some regrets, if we're totally honest, in terms of functioning as a team. It was approached as sort of an individual competition by most of our team, which we realized after the fact that it really hindered our success as a country there. So we took that and we learned a lot from it. So this time around, it's been 2 years in the making, developing this team, qualifying, and then the team was selected last December. So we basically had 9 months to prepare as a team. And in that 9 months, we really made it a point to make sure everyone understood that this was a team event. So we were all in there to support each other, which was phenomenal. The team spirits were high. I can't speak to all the divisions because obviously I'm shooting in open division. So open division, there's 6 of us, and the cohesion within us 6 was really good. I don't think it could have been better, if I'm totally honest. So I was really happy about that. And so the entire time I'm shooting the match, I'm thinking about the team. Every time you pull that trigger, you want that point for the team. It's not, you don't even think about yourself when you're at that, in that mental state, which is amazing. And we're passing information down the line. It was the way it was sort of squatted. I was squad 1, and then behind me in squad 20 was Colin. It was me, Colin, Brad, and then I believe it was Josh Botha. And then Michael Bay was in front of me. He was in squad 2. So all of us were in a line. So we would pass information down the line as you're shooting stages. And a normal match, you shoot a stage, you go to the next one, your buddies might be in the next squad, but you're not making it a point to run back to them and tell them about the stage because they're going to figure it out themselves anyway. And you're kind of competing against them. So you want to see them do well, but you're not going to give them all the secrets. You got to figure it out for themselves. This match, we're spilling the beans on every stage, and it was like a telephone line. It was amazing. So I think together we tried our best as a team, and then we were able to place second open team for Canada. And then I managed to place third open individually. So I got an individual podium, which again wasn't even in my thought process going into Worlds. After day 1, I think I ended day 1 third or fourth open, which I didn't really want to know, but it's hard to avoid knowing your placement because everyone was coming up to me as I'm walking back to the parking lot, being like, "Hey man, great job. I saw you're like in third," and they mean well, but I was like, "Oh, why'd you have to tell me that?" So I'm glad I made something happen. So that was really special. Getting third in the world, open shooter at Worlds and the second place team. Can't ask, for much more.
Which is incredible. I mean,
yeah,
given where Team Canada was 2 years ago, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I mean, that just speaks to the folks that are part of the organization and also the team members themselves that came together. Again, like says, this point is for the team. It's not for me alone.
Yeah.
And kind of how you all got together and made it happen, which is amazing. Out of all the countries that are out there, right? There's a ton, and everyone wants to get better also. Because they were also there 2 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so
everyone's
it's not
better. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's not a static standard. It's an ever increasing.
That's right.
Bar that you have to walk up.
Nothing these days is guaranteed. Like back in the day, you could see who's on the roster at a match and basically fairly accurately predict who's going to be in what position. Nowadays, the top 10, 20 guys at any match could win it. It depends on their game that day.
Yeah.
So it's really a different scene, which is great. It's really keeping the skill level up. But Canada did well. The team overall, as a country score, we got third. And then the ladies team for Canada got third place as well. So that was really great. Yeah, to see that. So that was really special. There hasn't been an event that's been more memorable than Worlds. And then, to be honest, afterwards, I was really burnt out. Dory and I, we were saying if the season ended after Worlds, we would have been totally fine. We would have just had time to relax. But we had already booked our tickets to Idaho for Nationals like way in advance. I think we booked them in like March. So, okay, we'll go to Nationals. Not to make it sound like it was a chore. Like we always enjoy the time, but we just had such a long season. Yeah. So at Nationals, I made it more of a focus to still obviously try my best, but also just have a good time. And then I ended up getting third at the match. Grant Sparling got second. We tied for points. He got me on time. So Grant Sparling had two Canadians on the podium at Nationals. Super nice. Memorable.
That's wild.
That's cool.
Wild. Yeah.
And lucky for me, again, sorry, Grant, but Grant didn't shoot his regional finale this year. He just had a kid. So he didn't shoot his regional finale, which means I took second overall for the season standings on the PRS. I thought that was super cool. My goal is top 5. It's dangerous to make goals like that, if I'm totally honest, to aim for it, because you're competing against the best of the best.
And you don't know who's coming up.
Exactly. You don't know who's coming up, and it sort of sets you up for disappointment. But the reason why I had top 5 as a goal was because I had done top 10 twice. I had got 8th and 9th before. Yeah. So I wanted to, crack the top 5. So that was like my unofficial goal. So it's like have gotten second, just behind Chris Simmons of all people. It's like kind of, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of cool. Yeah. I would say that was definitely another highlight this year. So in terms of achievements, guys, those two events have really solidified, my progress in this whole sport.
a lot of people know your name now, Matt. Not that you were unknown before, but now, coming in, there's Chris and there's Matt. Like, who's this Matt guy?
Yeah. It was special seeing my name. Like, even my name when you scroll the leaderboard and you just see the names like around you, to see my name beside Chris Simmons is pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Really, really neat. Yeah. And again, I think having my entire progress from day one back in 2020 documented in a way is kind of neat, because it shows anyone can do it. Anyone can do it. They can pick a rifle with enough effort and resources thrown at this thing, to be honest. A ton of time and money, if I'm totally honest. But if you really want to compete at the highest level, you don't have to live on a farm and be able to shoot after dinner every day. Because I live in the suburbs. If I were to discharge a firearm on the street, I would get arrested. So a lot of people are saying PRS favors the guy that lives on a farm because they can practice every day. Well, it's not necessarily true. With the right training, you can make it happen. It's not easy, but
it's easier if you're on a farm, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
but not restricted to people who live on a farm.
No, exactly. Yeah. So it shows anyone can do it. Really, if I could do it, anyone can do it. And I'm not a physically super strong person either. I'm just some dude. If I can lift a 23-pound rifle and get through a stage, most people can.
You're a finance dude.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a nerd. I use a calculator all day.
Yeah, that's wild. That's awesome. I mean, you're an inspiration. If people want to see what you can do if you apply yourself, I think you're certainly one of the names that I would point to say, look, here's a video from 2020.
Yeah.
29. This guy doing this knives, EDC video is one day gonna end up shooting on the world's team.
Yeah, I don't think many people know that. My YouTube channel actually started reviewing pocket knives, like high-end cutlery. I was again like nerd, totally into like knives and pocket knives and EDC stuff. And I'm not gonna lie, I took a lot of those videos down because I don't want to be associated with how atrocious they were. But that's how the YouTube channel actually started back in the day. So yeah, but going to the next question. How many rounds do I go through a year? It's actually been dropping. Again, back in the Kevin Goyette days when we were training on the farm, we would go through multiple cases a year easily. We bought, between us, we bought 8 cases of rifle match. How many rounds is that? That's 4,000 rounds, right?
Yeah.
Is that more?
5 per case. 5,000 per case.
Okay.
Yes, 40,000.
Yeah. So we bought 4 cases of ammo, and or 4 cases each, 8 total in one order, and we were through that in like 18 months. So just to give you an idea. But nowadays, I basically get 1 case. I'm an Ely shooter, so Ely very generously provides my match ammo, so I can usually get through a case of ammo for my matches, and then anything I use for practice is on top of that. So that's generally my round count these days. What work do you do people don't see? I guess we touched on that, like the dry fire stuff. And if you're talking about the YouTube stuff, most of the work is after the filming because editing takes way longer than the actual match itself. But I enjoy the video editing. That's kind of why I kept going even through the busy seasons, is because I thoroughly enjoy video editing and putting together something I'm kind of proud of. Like what you said, Rick, is like kind of its own artwork in a way, with all the music and all that stuff. Just fun.
Just the transitions alone.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny because people who don't care about video editing don't appreciate it, and that's totally fine. They just watch it for the information. People who kind of appreciate video editing, sometimes they would message me like, "Hey man, like this one B-roll shot, like how you transition from this to this, super cool." And that kind of like hits a different spot of the hobby for me. So
took me 2 hours to come up with this 2-second clip.
And
where to put it perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. Or sometimes like, again, Dory would do the filming for most of the stuff and I would do the editing, and sometimes she wouldn't get like the shots that I was envisioning. So now you have to like make a meal with different ingredients, you kind of have to work with what you have, type of thing. It's just a lot of fun. Usually
it's because I screw up the technical stuff, or the sound is gone, or the lighting was terrible, or it's just terrible.
Yeah. I would say though, because I have questions before, people ask me if they should start a YouTube channel, like just do it. Because the more content about our sport, the better. Even if you're like just starting out, again, like I was just starting out, people can learn from it. Again, be careful with who presents himself as an expert online. But again, I feel like anyone can post content and be a valuable source of information. So anyway, post stage.
As long as you have good audio. Audio is important for video.
Yes, that is. So Rick, that is very good advice to someone who wants to start YouTube. A lot of people concentrate on the quality of the video. Audio is more important because you can watch a crappy video with good audio, but no one will watch a good video like high resolution with crappy audio. So that's really key.
Invest in labs. Wireless.
That's right. That's right. Rick knows what he's talking about. As soon as you hear that tip given, they know what they're talking about. So post stage routine or prep for the next stage. Again, touched on like with Travis, you can have a physical checklist, which is great if you're prone to missing things. What I'll do, as I mentioned before, is I'll go muzzle to buttstock and just go over everything. The reason why I started the muzzle is because I use a muzzle cap now. So forgetting to take off your muzzle cap is an issue. So start at the muzzle, and then when you get to your scope, I check objective bell for the lens cap if it's open or whatever. Turrets. I even check my windage turret, which most people don't. But in the event that you bump it, that's not a reshoot. That it's your gear. You should make sure everything's set properly. I've had that before where shooters at a match, they're like, "Oh, yeah, my windage turret got bumped 0.5 mil. Can I have a reshoot?" Sorry, like that's not a valid excuse for a reshoot. So check
if I went and turned your windage turret, maybe that would be a reshoot.
So here's the thing. I don't know. I'm not saying the shooter was a liar by any means, but there was a match that I was at, and a shooter claimed that someone must have turned his windage turret because he got off the stage, he missed everything, and he noticed it was like a mil off. He went to the MD, and the MD, which I agree with, said, sorry, like as much as this sucks, I can't let you have a reshoot because anyone can get off a stage and claim that to get a reshoot. Like as the shooter, you're responsible for your own gear. And as much as that sucks, I totally get it. That was the right call. But that's the reason why
part of your pre-stage check, make sure your windage is good. If you catch someone doing it, that's different.
Yes, if you catch someone tampering,
DQ, right?
But to me, that's like a serious DQ. Like you should not. That's cheating.
That's
basically.
banned.
Yeah,
that's banned from all. All national. All MDs 100%. Talk to other MDs.
100%. But again, like as the shooter, you're responsible for your own gear. So it was definitely a tough lesson for that guy. But I bet you he always checks his windage turn now. So, so
hard lesson.
That. Yeah. But I felt so bad for him because I remember I wasn't even in his squad. I was walking by and I heard this commotion. So I asked what was happening and it sucks. So, but definitely check all your gear and anything that you need to do between stages. Again, if you need to write it down. There's no shame in that. In fact, people will probably call you smart because a lot of people probably should do that and they don't.
Yeah.
Are you going to shoot more centerfire next year? My centerfire plans are always up in the air because I don't consider myself a centerfire shooter. I'm not really competitive in that discipline. I just shoot it if I feel like it, and if I want to have a big bang as opposed to a small bang, I'll shoot centerfire. So again, don't really have any plans, but rimfire stays as my main focus for a few reasons. First off, centerfire isn't as available here locally. I have to travel to the States basically to shoot a good centerfire match. And I honestly find rimfire matches more enjoyable if you're shooting a lot of them, like high volume match season. I find more enjoyable in rimfire settings because you don't have to wear ear pro. The concussion's a lot less. You can just have a regular conversation and save a ton of money with ammo. If you reload. So how is it different than rimfire? I will say centerfire is a good cross-training tool for rimfire, but it's not necessary, but it definitely helps in a lot of ways.
This is my centerfire trainer for rimfire.
How the tables have turned, how the turns table. No, but seriously,
that's awesome.
The most common thing you'll see is rimfire shooters getting sloppy because you can get away a lot with sloppy fundamentals on rimfire, and you're not really you're not punished the same way. Yeah, exactly. Because you do something wrong in a centerfire rifle, you're going to find out immediately. Whether it's bad follow through, you can't spot your shot. So sprinkling in some centerfire matches as a rimfire shooter isn't a bad idea at all. And Jess Tischler, for example, youth lady shooter here in Canada, she has been doing really well in centerfire recently, and her rimfire game, her words, because we were asking her about it, has improved dramatically because of centerfire as well. So her fundamentals basically have just become like rock solid as they need to be for centerfire. And going to rimfire after that is just like you're a robot, right? So I actually said this last week on the podcast. My general rule of thumb is if I wouldn't do this on a centerfire rifle in terms of my body position and sort of how I'm like handling the rifle, I probably won't try that on a rimfire rifle if I want to be as solid and consistent as possible. So that's not a bad idea to shoot a few centerfire matches and see maybe some weaknesses in your game, because they will be exponentially exposed to you behind a centerfire rifle. Especially if you're shooting, like, and my advice to you is if you don't want to be like super ultra competitive and centerfire, like just shoot a 6.5 Creed, because it's enough recoil, it'll like really hone in on what you need to improve. Or a 308, shoot a 308, just do it, like
So side route for a minute. You brought up Jess Tischler, so
yes,
she joined Team Boskier this year.
Oh, nice! Congratulations!
Boskier bags coming up. So she joins you and Dory and Chase Beckley.
Amazing! I love that. Yeah, she's a great. Great, and she's already a Go Big teammate with me. So I love that.
Happy to have her.
Amazing. That's great news. Balancing shooting / traveling with family life. Well, I will say this, with kids or pets or something at home that you're responsible for, what we do currently is unsustainable. Like there's no two ways about it. Like our house chores often, kind of get pushed to the side. But there is a way, like there's plenty of parents or family men and family women who travel and shoot a lot of matches, but you have to find the balance. Like Dory and I were right now quite blessed because we don't have kids, and we're just doing our own thing. We're just enjoying the sport right now. So really, we're quite free to do whatever we want on the weekends. But the balance would have to change if we were to have kids or we got a dog. Like, I don't think it's fair to any pet to be left home alone for the amount of time we're gone, which is actually the reason why we don't have a pet, because Dory absolutely loves dogs and she wants a dog. We're going to get a dog eventually for sure. So when that happens, we're not going to be gone every weekend because it's not fair to the animal, right? So, I don't know. I'm not the right person to ask balancing this with family, though, because I honestly just don't do it. I just go all out for purists right now. And one day if I settle down, maybe I can have a better answer for you. But there's lots of dads who shoot with their kids. Like, they'll make it kind of a family outing. The Gamons are a great example. Like, father, wife, son, and son's wife all shoot together at Sheepdog and Alderbrook and stuff. Match directors at Alderbrook too. Like, it's cool to see a whole family come out. In Canada, we have some families that are big enough to like fill an entire squad, so that's always a lot of fun. But also
too that you get to shoot with Dory, right? I think
yes,
it'd be much different if you were leaving every weekend and she wasn't coming.
Yes, with you. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, the whole PRS thing is our like together time, which a lot of couples don't have the luxury of claiming. Plans for future Imperious Rimfire. I kind of go year by year, to be honest. I don't really have any plans. I try and maintain the competitive level if that's what I want. But I will say I do want to dedicate some time for developing shooters. Because like I mentioned earlier, it's hard finding proper training in Canada for PRS. And I feel like I could maybe put on a clinic once or twice a year or something and help those who want to maybe bump it up to the next level. I don't think I would do like a totally introductory level course. It would be more like you've shot a handful of matches or you've even shot multiple seasons and you want to see how to take your game to the next step. I feel like I'd be interested in helping develop some shooters that way. So we're going to put some thought behind that. Travel tips. Pack light because rental cars in Europe are smaller than you expect. So if you pack too bulky, you're going to have to rent a larger vehicle, which is astronomically more expensive. Every airline treats guns differently, so just read up on it. The most important thing probably is obviously the rifle has to be locked, but in the States, they allow you to put your ammunition in the rifle case. I don't think any other country or airlines allow you to do that. So, if you're flying into Canada with Air Canada or whatever, it has to be separate because that's something I find a lot of Americans say is put your ammo in your rifle case, but they won't let you do that other places. And then, here's one thing, barricade bags, because Travis, you're the bag man. We never fly with their barricade bags carry on. I know some shooters do, and it's been fine for them, but we've seen way too many shooters, again, specifically flying in and out of Canada, have to either dump out their bags, or if it's a wee bag, for example, that doesn't have like a Velcro opening, they'll cut it open and force you to dump it out. So we check ours in our checked luggage.
Do you usually empty them before you go, like to save weight and room, or you fly with them full?
So because Dory uses her preferred fill from Spexlite, we don't empty it because her fill is lighter weight sand. It's still kind of heavy, but it's like lighter sand. So it drops a few pounds for her, which is substantial. So we do fly with it filled. But sorry, I'm laughing because it's kind of silly, but on top of the bag, because we've arrived at destinations and bags have been cut, like in your check luggage, if they need to inspect it, they don't care if there's an opening, they'll just cut it. So on top of the bag, we elastic around it a picture of us using the bag in competition, and we circle the bag and say, this is what the bag is for. We're competitive shooters. And so far it's worked. We haven't had a bag cut. Because every time they open to inspect, they leave a little note in it saying like it's been inspected by whatever it is, like CATSA or TSA or whatever. So yeah, that's a little note we put on our barricade bags when we check them. And then just as safety, we have empty bags as spares. So if they cut them and they pour them out or take them, we have empty bags we can fill with sand on location. So that's kind of what we do. So I know you're the bag man, so I figured I'd give a bag tip there, Travis.
Perfect.
So what?
Yeah.
That's such an unnecessary worry. You shouldn't have to worry about shit like that.
I know, but it's you don't want to get to a competition and all season you've been using this one bag. You're super comfortable with it. It's broken in nicely, and then you get there and you don't have it. What do you do? Yeah. And that's something we've had to adapt. Again, being a top level shooter at these events you have to travel to, you have to learn to adapt. So you plan for unfortunate circumstances and you learn to adapt otherwise. Yeah. It's basically how you live.
And the nerve-wracking thing at your level is 1 point makes a huge difference.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's the thing. Or 1 point or half a second or a second, right? Fractions
or a hundredth of a second.
Of a hundredth of a second.
A hundredth of a second, yeah. No, seriously, yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. So that's why you need to make sure that you have a plan for everything. Yeah. So yeah.
That's true. So imagine an extra pound would have slowed you down a hundredth of a second.
Well, here's the thing. So a regular schmedium filled with regular sand could be 8 to 10 pounds, depending how much you have. So the 2 or 3 pounds that Dory's sand saves her does matter, because her holding a 6-pound bag, being a 95-pound Asian lady versus a 10-pound bag, will slow her down significantly.
For sure.
Yeah, we really do think about everything.
It will make a difference.
Yeah,
it will. Exactly. It will make a difference.
Yeah, and like you said, 1 point these days at the national finale in Idaho, 1 point at the top was the difference between second place and 7th or something. Because there was a 4 or 5 way tie for second place points. Yeah, it was a very tight race. So I guess just going through the questions again. How is the transition? Well, I already kind of skipped that one. That's rimfire versus centerfire thing again. Okay. What do you think has really taken you to the next level? Training, gear, or experience? It has to be all three. You have to balance all three. Like I mentioned before, experience, all the different venues, training, proper training, not just round count, downrange. That might not help you. So you need to have targeted training, and then gear. This is kind of a hot topic because it's kind of a gear race in PRS. It's undeniable that the top shooters have really good gear, but there's a correlation between top shooters being really dedicated to the sport, being gearheads, and oftentimes being sponsored because they're so involved in the sport. So they have all this nice gear. It's maybe not causation of their performance, right? You can be very competitive on a budget. Like we mentioned last week's podcast with Kenny, that's the reason why factory and production division exists as well. If you want to be a little bit more limited in your gear choices, but fight for your own titles, fairly without having to worry about all the gamer stuff going on, you can shoot production, and it's a great way to compete as well. So gear is important up to a certain extent. Ammo is also important up to a certain extent, and then having good dope. So part of your training should be getting to know your gear and really making sure you have that perfect dope curve in your Kestrel or in whatever app you're using, because you have to trust the ballistic solution, because there's too much other things to doubt on the clock. If you're doubting your ammo on top of your wind call, on top of being unsteady, there's too many factors. So all the top level guys will 100% trust their dope or know what to adjust on the day of so that they do trust it. If they see that they're trending high 210s, they'll take it out of their ballistic solution. It's just something you have to make part of your training. We already kind of hit on this one. More training or more matches for improvement, both depending what you need, basically. And you can use matches as training as well in terms of the mental game, because you need to shoot matches in order to build that level of clarity of mind, I guess, right? There's no other way to train that. You definitely need to shoot matches to be competitive. I can't think of I wonder if anyone has like not shot for like a year and then came back to a very high level match and won it. Like I wonder if that's even
John Gingrich.
Yeah.
Yeah, he came back. He came back and won an ORPS match like last month.
Very nice. Okay, there we go. So I guess I don't know what I'm talking about. Just follow John Gingrich.
But he lives on a farm.
There you go. He lives on a farm. I'm sure he shot before he got.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
he wasn't competing,
yes.
but he was still shooting.
Okay, right? There you go. Yeah,
there was one question.
Those farm guys, yeah.
In the chat that kind of relates to that about winter training.
Oh,
so
nice.
We can address that, I guess, at the same time.
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I don't see. Can you?
Yeah, it says what to do for winter training regarding physical training, keeping up mindset and developing shooting skills.
Okay, yeah. So physical training is kind of funny because I don't know if he means like actually like training, like cardio or whatever. But I will say being fit helps with any sport. Like PRS isn't like a very physically demanding sport, if I'm totally honest. But being fit, like, because you're outdoors the whole day, like it does help. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not saying that I'm super fit, but I try and not be a complete slob, so that kind of helps. I guess having
a good core helps. Being flexible helps.
Good, flexibility, I think, would be up there on priorities.
Yeah, I would say I started off in a good spot because I did a lot of Taekwondo right before shooting PRS, so I had the flexibility. Core strength was good from that, and also cycling. A lot of leg strength, core strength, and all that stuff. So I started in a good spot. I don't do either of those things these days. So my core strength and flexibility has been slowly declining. I keep just enough flexibility to get in all those awkward positions in PRS.
Yeah. But you have the bare minimum.
Exactly.
What the sport requires.
I started up here when I started, and my physicality has like slowly dropped as I shoot PRS. But it does help. Like I feel like being in good shape is always just a good thing to have. But dry fire, I can't speak enough about dry fire. I think, as I mentioned before, it can be a two-edged sword. Like if you're doing it wrong, you're just ingraining bad fundamentals or bad habits. But if you do it right, like put away the shot timer for the first while, dry fire is the best way to keep up your fundamentals in the winter if you don't want to go outside. Because you can always go outside and shoot if you want, but if you want to stay indoors, dry fire for sure. Keeping up the mindset is tough. That's one thing I always struggle with is for the long like off season, I'm shooting local matches and maybe traveling to some like fun stuff, but I'm not really like in the same competitive mindset where I'm like really honed in. So in the springtime, when the season starts, I have the mental like fog of just like making silly mistakes. So it takes me a couple matches in the spring to really get up to speed again. So the mindset thing, I need to figure out a way to keep sharp as well, because it's something I struggle with. And then developing shooting skills again. You can shoot in the winter time, like there's nothing wrong with it, but dry firing and targeted training is also very, very beneficial. I was under the chat, not the comments tab. Yeah. That's why I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Old guys need flexibility, LOL. Yeah.
Back to our list.
Sure. Yeah. You want to read them off, Travis?
Sure. So many optics, chassis, actions, ammo, etc. available. How do you land on the setup that you land on?
Ooh. Yes. So it is quite the quite the dense marketplace these days for options. I would say when I first started, I was sort of looking at what other competitors were using, because generally speaking, if you're seeing a lot of the same gear item on the firing line, it's probably for a good reason. So at the time, it was a lot of Diamondback Tacticals and MDT everything, right? So that's what I started with. Great options. I think it's developed a little bit further now, where Diamondback Tacticals, as we've mentioned, are very quickly outgrown in the sport these days. So now, like the starting point is like the Venom, the Vortex Venom is like the starting point, or the Bushnell Match Pro ED, great starting point. But how I chose my optics and chassis and actions and all that is after trying so many different things. And again, I was in a different situation because I was able to try a lot of different things. I don't think other shooters are as fortunate, but you can always, for example, Rick, when you show up to a match, how many different guns do you have in the trailer, for demos?
12 to 16.
Yeah, exactly. Adam Cole has a loaner rifle. So there's always an opportunity to try something else. And if another competitor lets you shoot the rifle for a stage, for fun or whatever, you can try and see what might favor your preference more than others. I think really well-rounded shooters, as long as the gear item is like designed for PRS, it doesn't matter if it's an MDT, KRG, or an MPA chassis, you can probably perform the same. It's more about preference and honestly like aesthetics for a lot of people's gear choices. But I also mentioned this last week. I've always made it very clear to anyone who I've entered a sponsorship agreement with is I have to trust your product 100% and believe that I can perform at my best to use it. So I'm not going to put any company names out there, but there have been companies that have approached me for a relationship and I give their product a good shot. And if it's not a good fit, we just, amicably part ways, which is totally fine. And they understand that because at the end of the day, I want to say I'm a competitor first and foremost. So there's been a few optics companies that I just don't get along with the reticle. It's not their fault. It's a great reticle for other people, but it just doesn't work with me. So I say, sorry, I'm not going to compete with this. And everything I use, you can guarantee that I shoot my best with because I wouldn't use it otherwise. I want to be a good shooter, so I'm not going to use something that is going to hinder me in any way. So
I guess just take every opportunity to try other people's stuff and see what
exactly. Like take other people's stuff and try it out and see what you like and hone in onto what suits you. Everyone has their own shooting style. Some chassis are a little bit better for like the go fast guys, and other chassis are a little bit more stable and have better magwell adjustments if you're running a finicky action. So there's a lot of options for guys these days.
Yeah. All right. How have you balanced your relationship with Dory while giving her coaching and critiques?
I will say this was a struggle because she knows it. One of her weaknesses is not taking things personally. So as her like mentor, whatever you want to call it, someone giving her advice, one of my weaknesses is I'm very blunt. So those two things don't go hand in hand. So I had to learn how to better explain things to her because sometimes I'd be like, why'd you do that? Like, that was silly. Like, what were you thinking? And that doesn't help her mentality when, she needs to be, told in a better manner what she's doing wrong. I can't just say that was wrong. I have to explain how it was wrong. And that's a learning curve on my part too, because I'm not always the best at explaining what she should have done differently. I just say that was bad. And then she's like, hey, but you have to like explain why that was bad. So there was a little bit of a learning curve on both sides. But I think as long as she has the understanding that what I'm telling her is because I want to see her do her best, as soon as we figure that part out, it's like she's very open to feedback. And during matches, if there's a stage that she's a little bit unsure of how to approach, she'll just ask me and kind of get my feedback of her plan. So she'll tell me what she wants to do, and then I'll tell her if I think it's silly or not. And then oftentimes she'll do it her way anyway, and sometimes prove me wrong. So it's pretty awesome because we both learn that way. She's actually great taking feedback now. And honestly, she's at the point where she's heard everything I've had to say, which oftentimes, wasn't very helpful. So she's now asking other experienced shooters and sort of opening up to other shooters and asking people she's squatted with what their recommendations are. And honestly, there's other shooters that are much better coaches than I am when they're at a match, because oftentimes I don't know how to explain things properly. But she, for example, in Idaho wasn't squatted with me. She was in squad 8 or 9, and I was in squad 1. So we were literally opposite ends of the firing line. So we hardly saw each other all weekend, and she had a great time. And she was squatted with some great shooters. Camden Powers, the world champion for ladies, lady shooter, was in her squad. So she was asking her questions and stuff. Yeah,
nice. I'll combine a couple here.
Mm-hmm.
There was one about the sighting process. We talked about that on the last episode. But how do you develop your dope? And then I guess a part of that is truing your Kestrel with DSF versus changing BC?
Yeah. So anytime you get a new lot of ammo or you're testing ammo or whatever, even if it's the same ammo type, you got to verify everything. So the easiest way to do it that I've found is you need multiple distances to do it at. And some people, depending on the range restrictions, it's not as easy to do it. But I would say 25-yard increments up to 250. Actually, that's excessive. I would say 50, 50, 100, 150, and then maybe 175, 200. So like sort of, 25-yard increments when it's further out. Just shoot all the distances. Your ballistics calculator will get you like a good starting point, and then see what your actual dope is, like the difference between what your ballistics calculator is and what you actually have to dial, whether it's high or low. And then going on to True in your Kestrel or whatever app you're using, there's different ways of doing it. I don't want to get too in depth, to be honest, because I hate technical stuff like this. I hate trying to explain technical stuff like this. But what I do is again, I'm not saying this is the right way, but what I do is I use the Applied Ballistics CDM custom drag models, which is basically, it's not really a BC value. Like it's not G1 or G7 or whatever. It's Applied Ballistics, like measured curve using their fancy equipment. And then using that curve, I use DSF. I can't remember what it stands for.
Drop something function.
Drop scale factor.
Yeah,
Yeah. So basically, DSF is a way of changing your curve at certain points to line up with what you're actually seeing downrange. I use DSF. I'm not going to go into it here, what DSF is specifically, but I use the DSF method where I know some people use the muzzle velocity truing method. Since I have a chronograph and I crony everything, I use my measured velocity in my Kestrel, and then I DSF from a known point. You always have to start near to far. You have an anchor point at something that you know works, whether that be 125 or 150 yards, and then you work your way outwards. But if I'm totally honest, the Applied Ballistics custom drag model for 10x, because I shoot 10x, has been within 2/10 out to like 250, which is 99% of the targets you're going to see today. So honestly, when in doubt, if you have a Kestrel, just run the CDM.
And Kestrel, they offer webinars,
yes,
like quarterly on how to do all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Some people get way more in the weeds about truing than I do. I'm going to be totally honest. I do pretty bare bones to true because I find the CDM models from AB to be really good. I only have to tweak them very slightly. But other shooters, I was talking to Michael Bay, for example, a Western Canadian shooter, and he was saying the CDMs don't line up for him at all. And if that's what you're seeing, you're going to have to use other methods to true stuff up. But honestly, I hate talking about truing Kestrels because it's like this never-ending rabbit hole. So I'm going to leave it at that.
Go to the Kestrel website and sign up for the webinar.
Yeah, and honestly, they have like hours and hours of like pre-recorded stuff too.
Yeah. How do you acquire sponsors? Do you have any tips to get some?
Wow. Yes, I remember this question coming in, and I remember it was kind of a spicy topic because I'll start with this. Don't overvalue sponsorships. I know it's as a new shooter, seeing all these Jersey boys walk around, with all their like sponsored up logos that look super cool. They're all like NASCAR and everything. Sponsorship is not all butterflies and rainbows. And I would actually say for new shooters, be very wary of sponsorship opportunities because you haven't experienced everything out there. And oftentimes, if a new shooter gets, and I will admit, I was kind of guilty of this as well. If you get a sponsorship and you pigeonhole yourself with that company, now you've limited all your options in whether it be a scope or a chat or whatever. And as a new shooter, something cool might come out on the market, like SHOT Show 2026. They might have like this super duper cool scope. And guess what? You can't use it now because you're stuck with whatever scope company. I'm not saying it's all bad by any means. Like I'm a heavily sponsored shooter now, but I think a lot of shooters are nowadays, especially concentrating so much on getting sponsored. It's not what competition is about. It can be a really good aid. I don't know. Also, keep in mind, sponsorship is a business agreement at the end of the day. Like no company is just going out giving free stuff because they want to sponsor shooters. Like you need visibility. because they need to get something out of it. That's just the truth at the end of the day. There's great companies out there, obviously, that care about you and want to see you do well as well, but you are there as a billboard for them, right? Like that's kind of what it is. And I mean, I'm sponsored by Travis, so hey Travis, how's it going? But,
glad to have you.
No, but always keep in mind like what's best for you as a shooter that might be developing, right? Like if I was still playing around with bags and figure out what I like, I wouldn't have accepted your offer, Travis, because I might want to try a bunch of different bags. But now that I was using a bag similar to yours for many seasons, and I tried yours, you let me try it a little bit beforehand, and I was like, yep, this is just as good, if not a little bit better, and I can perform my best at it, then it's easy. But as a new shooter, if you don't know what the best is for you yet, I'd just be really careful about chasing sponsorships, because it's not all fame and glory.
Yeah.
I think if you are looking for sponsorship, I mean, you have to have a story to tell, right? You have to be you have to be a good ambassador,
Yes.
I work with a lot of companies, and I work with a lot of shooters, and I try to connect people with companies if I think they're going to be a great representative.
Yep.
If you have zero social presence, you're not going to be as exciting as someone who provides good supportive content that looks like a good member of the community, a team player, all that stuff. Again, depending on if you're targeting a sponsor, they're looking for people that can spread the name in a positive light and be a good standing member of the community and be part of building it rather than carving out your own niche of
that's a great exactly. You should almost have it like happen organically. Like a sponsor should see you and be like, man, I want to have my company's name on his jersey, right? It shouldn't be this guy's approaching me asking if I can get free stuff, right? That's a good way of putting it.
He'd be a great guy. We'd love to work with that guy. Bring me more of this guy.
And again, not to brag, but I've had many more companies approach me than I've approached them. Like you want to be that guy that people want your name representing them. That's the perfect way of putting it, Rick. Yeah, for sure. And I guess if you actually want like a solid tip, be on socials and be present, because again, that's how sponsors a lot of the time will see you. Unless they're local to you, they're not going to see you unless you have some sort of presence online. And then be a good person on the firing line. Like you want to be that guy that's giving back to the community. You always want to help shooters. Like, oh, you want a bag? Use my bag. You're going to become that nice guy. And when you're the nice guy, everyone knows the nice guys. Everyone also knows the a-holes, but you don't want to be the a-hole, So just be the nice guys. And
that's what I was going to say from like a company perspective, right? Like I'm only a small fish in a big pond.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of sponsored shooters, but usually the things that I'm like, I knew Matt for 3 or 4 years before we started working together. We had a friendly relationship, and that just kind of happened. And I'm always happy. Matt and Dory were my first people that I ever supported. So I'm always looking for like the first thing, what you just said, are you good people? Like that trumps everything, because I don't want to be associated with somebody who is spreading negativity.
Yes,
exactly. And has a poor reputation. Like you said, being an asshole or whatever. So it's like,
I mean, they'll ask around, hey, what do you think of XYZ? Stay away from
exactly.
Well,
you know what, that reaction.
Whenever people ask me, I'll ask him, be like, hey, do you know this guy? Like, even working with other suppliers, I try and vet everybody. Matt's usually my first go-to guy, because he shot with most people. Like, hey, how's shooting with this guy? And 9 times out of 10, it's great, right? So they said the other thing that I'm looking for is like people who are consistently competing.
Yes.
So like if you shoot 3 matches a year and you're like, hey, can you sponsor me?
Yeah, exactly.
No.
But and it looks bad, right? Like if you get sponsored and you like fall off a cliff and you just like show up once in a while, it's like kind of what are you doing type of thing, right? So
it's a commitment.
And like you said,
it's a business relationship.
You want to return on the investment at the end of the day. So it's like if my sponsored shooters are talking about Boss Gear bags and letting other people try the bags, and like I find that's one of the best ways to sell stuff is have people try it. So share your stuff, be a good person, and social media, like it helps whenever people tag me. So like if Matt does a post and tags Boss Gear, I do get more traffic to my website, and that is beneficial to me, right?
So exactly. Like we're just telling the truth of what it is, right? Like, I feel like the other dark side of sponsorship is it's so alluring to shooters that like it almost becomes not fun. Like I said before, if anything takes enjoyment out of this hobby, you're doing something wrong. And I feel like sponsorship oftentimes like can be that thing that people want to achieve, and if they don't achieve it, they're all bummed, right? And that's not cool. So yeah.
And
it's a touchy subject.
From the business side too, it's like, if I take a shooter on as a sponsor and they've never tried my stuff and they get it and they hate it,
yeah, exactly.
It's like, just tell me, right?
Yeah.
Like if it's not going to work, it's not going to work. That's fine.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But give it a good shot.
Yeah.
Right. Like practice with it, run it through its paces, make sure that it does work for you. Because I don't want you to use my stuff if you feel it's going to put you at a disadvantage.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's not good for me, and that's not good for you.
Yeah, exactly.
I want people to
like why would anyone want sponsor shooters that don't believe 100% in their product?
Yeah.
That's why I say, like, if I can't perform my best, there's no way I would want to shoot with it every match. That's for sure. So and what's worse, like the worst thing ever would be having a company logo on your shirt and be like, yeah, this thing's like kind of mid, like no one would want to see that. So
yeah.
All right, why don't we do two more?
Yeah, pick some good ones then. I didn't realize it's been so it's almost 2 hours coming up on. So
I guess the last one, you have any regrets or anything you'd change on your PRS journey?
Honestly, not off the top of my head, because I had such a great time. Every single season stood out for its own reason. Like, I wasn't competitive in the beginning, but that's exactly where I needed to be. Like I think the route I took to finding competitiveness, and still to this day trying to develop and staying competitive, like it's been really good. I think everyone needs to go through that little phase of just wasting ammo and be like, what are you doing? Like, that's a good phase to be in, like, don't skip it entirely.
Because it's fun. You had fun doing it. Yeah,
exactly. I would say, like, every time we travel for a match, we've not ever actually, there's one match we regret. I don't want to say exactly the club, because I don't want the MD to feel bad, but it's not because of the club. It's because the weather was just abysmal. And we were on the side of a hill, and it was like 30-mile-per-hour gusts, and it was cold, but just cold enough where it was like, or just warm enough where it wasn't snow, it was rain. So we were getting rained on, and it was cold and windy. So that was the only time we regretted going to a match, but that's like 1 in like 100 or something. So no regrets.
All right, last one. How do you maintain fundamentals while shooting fast?
Wow. Yes. So the UK match was what I would consider a fast-paced match, 90 seconds, 12 rounds for all stages. And I tell myself, and I was really trying to stress to Dory as well, you can build your efficiency and time in your transitions, but when you're actually in position taking the shot, when you're at the match, it's too late to try and rush your shot process. You can't do it. So if you need to save time, it has to be in your transitions, because the stability, especially with these size targets, and your like fundamentals, your cadence, I guess, your shot cadence is sort of set in stone at that point.
Yeah.
So if you need to build speed, don't try and rush everything. Rush the in-between stuff where you can kind of rush, but you can't go too fast, because if your heart rate jumps if it spikes too high, then it affects everything else too. So it's sort of like training. However, don't train to be fast, in my opinion, because you're just going to be sloppy at everything. So build the speed by being really good at every individual aspect.
Yeah.
Right.
Being efficient is important. Like, I've seen guys that are doing the PRS skill stage, trying to get the fastest time. They measure how many steps it takes to approach it. So like, you want to build efficiency and save time, start with like your build and breaks and shave those down. Yeah.
Yeah. And something that's really important that a lot of shooters don't practice is transitioning in portholes. So a lot of people can just transition side to side fast, but when you have to go in and out of the prop, you can tell a very experienced shooter looks very smooth. Inexperienced shooters, they're like dropping their bag and like stumbling, and they look like they're struggling. An experienced shooter, when they're going fast, they don't look like they're going fast. They look like they're still like smooth sailing. If you ever look like you're panicking and rushing through a stage, you're probably not you're probably not doing it the best possible. So
I mean, whenever I first started shooting, you always ask, how much time's left?
Yes.
10 seconds. Oh, I'm going to get 3 shots off in 10 seconds. Like, and you miss every single one of them.
Yeah, exactly.
And then eventually I discovered if my stage is going well and I feel like I'm getting a little bit pressed for time, I'll ask how much time's left to see if I can slow down, not if I can speed up.
Yeah.
Right. Like if I've got, 20 seconds left for 2 shots, like, okay, like let's take a breath. Let's slow down. Let's be efficient and make quality hits. So it's not always about going faster.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
It's effectively managing the time that you have.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes, sometimes depending on the stage, like a lot of MDs, they'll write the course of fire, but they haven't shot it themselves. So they don't even know if it's a reasonable shot count for that, for that power time. So sometimes like if it's a 14 round stage, but realistically, you're not going to get 14 rounds, like fundamentally solid. It's better to take 12 solid shots than 14 like mediocre, so there's sort of that balance to be had and having the experience to know when to step on the gas and when to maybe back off and just get the shots off that you need.
But there is one guy that can get all their shots off. That's the problem. Right. We write it for that one guy.
Yeah.
Everyone else is complaining. I only got 10 out of 14. Well, he cleared it.
Yes.
So get mad at him.
Yeah. And that's actually one thing. So Pascal, he's our MD for our home club. He was saying the same thing. Like it's hard to write a balanced course of fire for the top guys that are here and the new shooters. Like it's hard to balance that because we don't want the new shooters to go home feeling demoralized. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and it depends too on what the conditions are going to be. Like you can write a course of fire that you're like, okay, usually we have this wind, and then match day comes and it's dead calm.
Yes.
And you're like, oh shit. Yeah. So like usually whenever I was writing matches, I would make like maybe 10% of the targets really, really spicy, 10% gimmies, and the other 80% somewhere in between. So that, the new shooters, they're guaranteed points on that 10%, but I also got to challenge the top guys. I don't want anybody cleaning my matches. And so far, nobody has. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that was something that kind of happened to me because I did the Pig Slayer match this year, the qualifier, and the winds, like the forecasted winds were like kind of high. Yeah. And then the day of, I don't know if you were there.
Yeah, it was just dead.
It was like with 3 km/h gusts. It's like, oh crap. So I think actually, did I win that match?
Yeah. Dory.
Yeah, I did win.
Yeah,
I did. I looked at the trophy. Yeah, but there was a 3-way tie for first, I remember.
Yeah.
And I think we only dropped like 2 shots or something, and I was like, that was not balanced
ridiculous.
At all. Yeah. So anyway, but it's going fast is kind of a catch-22.
It's overrated. There's a reason why slow is smooth and smooth is fast, right?
Yeah.
The key is to make faster hits. It's not faster shots. It's faster hits. So you got to practice making hits and try and get them faster. And that's the build break, the transition. It's all of that. It's not one thing. It's all of it strung together and executed flawlessly. Right.
And like everything else, it's all about consistency because as soon as you transition enough a certain way, your hands are automatically going to do the same. It's like muscle memory. And that actually, so here, last tip to end the entire podcast. Okay. PRS, if you break it down to the individual components, it's very easy. The difficult part is doing everything that's easy all together perfectly through the whole match. So there's a question here we kind of touched on it. What separates like mid-pack shooters from the top guys is the top guys have trained every single component of their process to be automatic. So all their brain function and focus has to think about is executing the stage properly and their shot corrections because everything else is like brain or muscle memory. That's the key. That's what I think is the key to unlocking like the next level of competitiveness is training literally every single thing so that you don't have to think about it.
You just want cruise control, right?
That's right. And it's a lot harder, actually to do it than just to say it. So good luck.
And there's a couple good books on that too for the mental marksmanship. There's one, When Winning Matters, I think.
Yes.
And there was the other one by the wind people out in Ontario. I forget the name of it.
Yeah.
But they both talk about like getting in the zone, right? Exactly. But it's a lot harder to do than just like, I'm going to show up and get in the zone.
Exactly.
Right?
And getting in the zone day of means you have to, prepare months in advance to be able to get in that zone, because
it's
exactly
it's the whole approach to shooting.
You can't be thinking of the fundamentals on the stage whenever you're shooting the stage. You have to, that has to be automatic, right?
When I was shooting there's a 12 position stage, 90 seconds in the UK. And I'll tell you, when I was shooting that stage, I wasn't actually thinking about how I was going to transition, because on the clock, I trust myself that I've trained enough that I just know. I look over and I see where that position is. I just trust that my body knows how to get there. That's sort of the mode that I'm in. So that's like the secret sauce, I guess.
The book is The Secrets of Mental Marksmanship.
Yeah,
that's it. Yes.
Right. Linda Miller and
Keith Cunningham.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are both really good books.
Yeah. Perfect. That's awesome.
2 hours on the dot.
On the dot, buddy. Well, Matt, thanks again. Hey, congrats on an awesome milestone.
Thank you.
You finally did it. You broke top 5.
Yeah, exactly.
In a big way.
Yeah, I'm really happy with that. Again, like, I'm always trying to improve. I'm not saying I've peaked or like I'm at the top.
Yeah.
But this year was good. I can't deny it.
Yeah.
I'm really happy.
It's been a cool experiment.
Yes, that's right.
Right? Can I turn myself into a world-class shooter?
Yeah.
This year we can definitely say yes. Yeah. That's awesome.
It's been awesome too to see the journey, because like I found PRS from your videos. Like I'm sure many people have.
Yeah.
Like that's how I found out about CRPS. And like watching the transition from you starting to where you are now, it's awesome to see that, like, if you put your head down and do the work, you could get there. It doesn't mean you're going to, but
you can have a great time. It doesn't matter where you are in the journey. You're going to have a blast. So it's amazing.
And the progression has been really awesome to see over the years.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been amazing. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I feel like at this point, I now have to like focus on giving back to the community, right? Like,
nice.
It's
about time,
so
you
much.
selfish.
I've had so much given to me that I do want to like focus on developing.
You do give back. You just don't see it. You don't see it happening, but if you look at the number of views you've got, think of all the people you've influenced. Yeah. And those little tips of how to do or how not to do something. Yeah. I mean, it's out there. It's floating out there. So I think
a lot of my content going forward is going to be more focused on like explicitly explaining what I'm doing, because a lot of the match footage in the past was just me shooting, and you see the scope camera, but I'm not like talking over it or anything. I want to be more like explanative, if that's a word. Yeah, exactly.
We're inventing lots of new words tonight.
Yeah, exactly. I'm tired, guys. So anyway, awesome. Thanks for having me, Rick.
Hey, thanks, guys. Well, hopefully we'll have you again soon. We're gonna try and get more new shooters out. I'd love to get John back here.
Yes,
just to hear how his journey coming back from retirement.
Yeah,
or his hiatus, or Jason Travers, production shooter.
Oh, true.
All his journey. He's got a great story. Yeah. So we're gonna get him on, and hopefully, whenever you're free, you're welcome to jump on and pick people's brains.
Yeah,
perfect.
That'll be awesome.
Hey, thanks, Travis.
Anytime.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Travis.
Appreciate you guys spending time with us. Again, the Rimfire Nation Podcast, proudly brought to you by Tesro.ca, home for all your precision shooting needs. Send Asmir and family some love. Buy some stuff online. Shoot some good stuff. Check out the website, Tesro.ca. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Nice.
See you next time.